This program contains dramatic reenactments and material that may be disturbing to some audience members. Viewer discretion is advised.
Deep in the Alaskan mountain range, two climbing friends set out to conquer a dangerous ascent. Then, disaster strikes. And striving to be the first turns into a desperate fight to stay alive. Trapped by an onslaught of avalanches, they feel the full force of nature's destructive arsenal. One man faces a gut-wrenching choice.
Do you want to live?
Save himself or remain with his friend and stare death in the face on I Shouldn't Be Alive. Alaska, over 54 million acres of national parkland, one of the last great frontiers of the United States. Spectacular glaciers and magnificent mountain peaks make it a magnet for climbers looking to push their skills to the limit. Like Alaskan Jim Sweeney.
Okay, well, let's go.
I've always been a, driven person, so I was looking for something steep and hard to do.
Jim's hiking with his good friend, the man who taught him to climb, Dave Nyman.
I actually started climbing when I was a little kid because Alaska's full of mountains. And you just go on hikes, so you're always climbing up something.
Today is no different. The guys are climbing in their home turf in Denali National Park. They're on the slopes of Mount Johnson, an 8,400-foot peak. It's about as isolated a place as you could find yourself in. Dave and Jim are attempting a climb that no one has ascended before, though many have tried. It's called the elevator shaft, a 2,000-foot ice climb in a wall of granite.
At this point, we know we're in for 12 or 20 or even more hours of straight climbing.
This climb isn't for novices, but Jim and Dave are both confident. They've made first ascents before, and together they've got 16 years of solid climbing experience behind them.
Jim's taking out the rope and he's moving fast. He gets up to the end of each length of rope and he keeps pulling me up behind him.
Come on, man.
I lead the hard stuff. I'm definitely the leader. I'm the driven one.
This is the sort of experience they both live for.
You just forget what's going on when you're going up. I'm climbing. I'm not thinking about anything else. I want to go up.
Man, you should see the view from here.
Great, Jim.
Hang on, Dave. Gotta get past this snow bulge.
After almost 2 hours of good progress, Jim reaches a bulge of snow above him.
I'm looking for ice. I'm looking for something hard to get some purchase in.
No!
I was just kind of hunkering down, trying to keep snow from hitting me as he was fussing around up there.
You're thrashing me, Jim!
He's hollering at me, and it's just constantly the snow's going down.
Have you hit anything yet? This is nowhere, Dave. If I can't find some rock or ice to clip onto, I'll come down.
Without warning, the ice above Jim collapses.
He's not moving. He's not saying a word. There's no response. At that point, I know I have to move really quickly. I can see blood trickling out of his nose and his mouth and his ear.
Jim?
I touch him, and immediately he comes to life. You can tell he's not all there. He wants to continue the climb. Dave, I've got to keep climbing.
Jim, stay with me. Jim! I'm gonna get you down!
If Jim is to have any chance of surviving the fall, Dave needs to negotiate a safe way of getting him down from the elevator shaft. And that isn't going to be easy.
I had to transition from being more or less the follower at that point to being the leader. I knew everything was up to me from now on.
Dave begins lowering his friend inch by inch, trying desperately to prevent him from colliding with the rock face on the way down.
Jim, I need you to wake up! Jim!
The painstaking job is physically exhausting.
Okay, here we go, we're going again.
It takes Dave the better part of 5 hours to lower Jim down to relative safety.
Last bit, Jim.
They're on solid snow now, but Jim keeps slipping in and out of consciousness.
Jim!
I have no memories of the fall whatsoever. None. The first thing real I remember was Dave screaming at me.
Jim, wake up! Wake up! Come on, stay with me!
Dave's gotten them off the elevator shaft, but they are still 5,400 feet up Mount Johnson. And in this part of the world, they're sitting ducks for avalanches. Dave knows he has to find them some protection, fast.
I dig straight into the hillside and move the snow from this 45-degree face and pack it down.
Okay, Jim.
Now Dave has built a safe shelter for the night. He finally has a moment to assess just how serious Jim's injuries are. When Jim collided with the rock face, he took a terrific blow to his head, and his brain crashed into his skull. Vital nerve fibers sheared off, causing massive disruption to his brain activity. Until his body can repair the damage, Jim's going to be in a world of his own. Now, for the first time since the accident, the full force of their predicament hits Dave.
If the weather turns and I don't get word out, we're going to be in a world of hurt. If I go travel alone on the glacier, am I just going to fall in a hole and Jim's left by himself anyway? There's all these different things going through your mind. You don't know what the right answer is.
All Dave can be certain of is that Jim's survival is entirely in his hands. And the wrong decision could kill them both. It's the morning after Jim's climbing accident, and Dave's come to a decision. He's going to leave Jim to get help. He knows there's a ski hut 10 miles away. He's gambling that there'll be people there, maybe even a radio.
Do you think you can light the stove?
Don't go.
I don't want you to leave me. Don't leave me.
I gotta go, Jim. I'm going for help. I'll be back in a few hours. Okay?
Ahead of Dave lies dangerous terrain. He's got to cross a crevasse-cracked glacier. This is something climbers do with a rope and a partner. To attempt it alone is to dance with death.
fall in a crevasse on that glacier, there's really no hope for you. You're gone.
Thoughts of Jim alone on the mountainside keep him focused and spur him onwards.
Leaving a partner in that kind of situation, you might come back and he'll be buried or he'll be dead.
I don't know who I am. I'm freezing. My forehead's on fire, my body's cold. I'm laying there pounding, my heart just going boom, boom, boom. The whole body's just going boom, boom, boom.
After hours of slogging through the snow, Dave finally reaches the mountain hut.
Help! Radio!
No! Oh, great. That means there's no cavalry coming today, and we can't just pick up the radio and call a plane passing overhead.
Come and sit down.
The group are on a skiing vacation, and one of them is an emergency medical technician. He agrees to go and look for Jim.
I'm greatly heartened by this, but I am shot.
Just stay here and rest up. We'll see what we can do.
And I told the two skiers leaving if they don't get to him tonight, he'll probably freeze.
You're clear about where he is. You sure you can find him? We'll just follow your tracks. It's okay. Hey, be careful with him.
Unable to radio for help, Dave and one of the skiers tramp out a giant SOS in the snow. Back on the mountainside, Jim is still in and out of consciousness.
I could remember my fevered brow in the snow and still being warm, but my body freezing. You know, I can remember that feeling.
For Dave, it seems like his troubles are over.
My newfound friends start feeding me food. They make a nice big old pot of spaghetti, garlic bread, butter. We had a real nice meal, and I starting to feel a little bit guilty.
Miles away, trapped in his tiny snow hole, Jim is losing his grip on reality again.
Black dreams, just as black as can be. I didn't know who I was with, where I was at. I didn't even know I was a climber.
Stranded on an Alaskan mountain in sub-zero temperatures, it's anyone's guess how long Jim can hang on. Dave has spent a restless night at the mountain hut, worrying about Jim. Unable to wait any longer, he heads out to try and find the rescue party. They're already on their way up the glacier.
They're towing a sled. My heart leaps. Oh, great, great. They're coming back to rescue Jim. And then I think there's no way they can ski as fast as they're skiing, towing Jim. Then my heart just drops.
Where's Jim? Didn't you find him? Look, we skied all the way over to the base of that shaft thing. That's a hell of a climb.
He explains to me that they looked up and they saw a few avalanches coming down and they decided that they didn't have the proper equipment.
It's too dangerous. Getting more people killed won't help anyone.
I'm trying not to be angry. I can't believe what I'm hearing here.
The truth is, the guy is absolutely right. They're skiers, not mountain rescuers.
Will somebody come with me? I'm taking that sleeping bag. You guys don't have sleeping bags up there?
They're down bags. They're soaking wet. We'll freeze to death.
You know what you're doing. You go up there, and you're gonna die.
I could feel them looking at me when I was skiing because I was putting any anger I had right into my plan to save Jim.
10 miles away in a snowdrift, Jim is being buried alive.
I realized I was somewhere bad. I'm totally encased in snow. I'm going, where the hell's Dave?
And the clock was ticking. Every second I felt counted.
Dave Nyman has raced back to Mount Johnson to the site where he last saw his friend, Jim Sweeney. But all he sees is new snowdrifts.
Jim!
I heard probably the most beautiful sound I've ever heard.
Oh. Jim! Jim! Help! And then I do, help! Help! And I'm screaming, and I hear Dave. Jim!
As I came over the rise, I saw Jim. He was buried in a snowslide.
Jim? Jim?
Dave digs Jim out and sets up the tent again in an area that appears free from snowslides. But as Jim's body starts to recover from the cold, he becomes more aware of a pain in his hip. Something is very wrong.
Jim, I need to take a look at your hip.
The force of his fall pushed the head of his thigh bone out of its socket and backwards. It's dislocated. The bone is grinding against the sciatic nerve that runs all the way down the back of Jim's leg. It's agony.
Don't touch me, man. Look, I mean it, man. I can take care of my hip. I'll stay in the bag, and you can pull me out of here.
I don't think I can pull you out of here. Skiing off by myself, that's one thing, but I can't drag you out of here. Listen, there are people at the ski hut. They know we're here. Let's just hunker down and wait for help to come.
Dave's positive attitude might not wash with Jim, but right now he's the one calling the shots. And they're staying put. Mark Niver and his wife Roberta are flying over the Ruth Glacier looking for a spot to land for a romantic picnic.
It was the place that Mark had proposed to me. It was our anniversary, so we decided to go up there. That was our plan.
We stay up there for an hour or two and have some lunch and kind of walk around and we wanted to enjoy the sights because it's just such a gorgeous area up there.
But the weather is starting to change.
I don't think we should land. I think we better go home.
Okay, hon.
The sound of the plane's engine carries down the glacier, reaching Dave and Jim and raising their hopes of rescue.
Jim, do you hear that? Jim, come on, man, there's a plane!
And I figured it'll see the SOS. We'll be out of here in no time.
Roberta, look! SOS! We gotta go in.
No, we don't, Mark.
Roberta doesn't want to risk landing, and for good reason. She's 7.5 months pregnant. But Mark's made his mind up.
What are you doing? You just said we shouldn't land here.
It's an SOS. We have to land.
She's nervous, obviously, and she's telling me, Mark, we can't land. She's kind of hollering at me, and it's somewhat distractive as I'm lining up to land.
Roberta's fears are well-founded. In the poor light, Mark can't tell if it's 3 feet or 30 feet down to the snow. He decides to abort the landing.
at that elevation, you know, the air is pretty thin. The engine doesn't perform at all like it should.
I grabbed my stomach and held on.
All of a sudden, we just fell out of the sky.
Dave and Jim have no idea the plane they heard has crashed. Though she's pregnant, Roberta is amazingly calm.
Living in Alaska, things happen. You just have to adapt to what your situation is.
Luckily, their plane came down near to the mountain hut, so help is at hand. Roberta doesn't know it yet, but the crash put her body under massive pressure. The discs in her back that act as shock absorbers to protect her spine were overloaded by the impact. 2 of them have been squeezed backwards out of position. The bulging discs now put pressure on the spinal nerves. It's going to get very painful, but Roberta's no quitter.
The reality that I'm here for a while was a bit hard, but I had to focus on keeping myself calm. I was afraid if I started to think, what if, I'd be in trouble.
We saw that SOS. Is it yours?
No. Hey, sit down. It's a long story.
Mark hears all the details about the climbing accident and Dave's determination to rescue Jim.
Immediately. I'm thinking of those guys. I mean, the snow's falling, the wind's blowing. They're on some side of a mountain someplace. And who knows what conditions.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Piper 173 Alpha.
Mark is desperate to get a call for help out, but huge mountains surround him and block the radio signals. The only way he'll be heard is if a plane flies directly overhead.
We've crashed on Ruth Glacier. Do you read me? Over.
Dave and Jim have been hunkered down in their tent all day hoping for rescue. But there's been a deathly silence on the mountain until now.
Dave! Wake up! Wake up, Dave!
I'm screaming at Dave as loud as I can.
Dave! Wake up!
We could hear it coming. We braced the tent. It was scary.
Jim and Dave are camped high on the slopes of Mount Johnson. This mountain is so steep that in bad weather, snow is constantly sliding off. It funnels through gullies and powers downhill. On its journey towards their tent, it's gathering momentum, creating a massive avalanche.
We just started praying. We really thought this was it. We thought this was the end.
Jim, are you okay?
We're completely buried, 100% encased in snow. And my hips just screaming.
I can feel a pocket.
Dave digs himself out of the snow and hauls Jim from the mangled wreck of their tent.
And he lays me out on the ground in the sleeping bag. The avalanches are roaring everywhere. It's just as bad, bad. It's war.
Incredibly, Jim and Dave make it through the night. But there's no way Jim wants to risk going through that again.
Okay, Dave. I'm ready to go. Let's go. We can't just stay here. We're sitting ducks. You gotta haul me out. We can make it down to the glacier. Someone will see us there, man. No one will see us here.
Jim. Look. It's too steep.
I didn't think I could do it.
Even if we cut across, we could start an avalanche.
I'm pissed because we're going nowhere.
What are you doing, Dave?
I'm looking for a safe spot.
Come off it. There is no safe spot in this whole valley. We just gotta get out of here.
We're moving over there.
That won't make any difference.
He puts me in the bivy sack to haul me over there. I don't like anything to do with this.
Dave sets up the tent in the new location.
And I feel pretty good about it. I said, Jim, your worries are over, buddy. We're good here until rescue comes.
Dreaming. You know, just cut the bull. Quit acting all mellow. There's nothing mellow about this.
You are always trying to swim upstream.
What are you talking about? No, I wish I could stand up and walk off this thing. You know, we would be down in an hour if I could stand up, you know. We gotta fight.
I want to go down, Dave.
Do you want to live? Do you want to live? Then do what I tell you to for once.
This is the 6th night on the mountain. Dave and Jim are now holed up in what Dave believes to be a better position.
And we might get a little bit of a blast. Nothing like the night before. Just feeling good. Yeah, I was right with my assessment. I put us in a safe place.
Oh, what the hell is that, Dave?
Avalanches are on the move.
All of a sudden, you can hear the one coming. It's like sitting right under a 747, just this roaring noise.
It's a sickening, cracking rumble, explosions, boom.
We fly downhill 200 feet, 300 feet.
Eventually, they come to a stop. But they've landed right in the middle of multiple avalanche paths.
We're just laying out there with nothing. We can't find anything.
There's nothing left, Dave!
But Dave finds the most precious of their belongings, a shovel.
Come on, man!
This, at least, might give them a chance. He starts to dig a snow hole for protection.
I'm just thinking the next avalanche is coming and the next one's taking us down the hill.
This latest brush with death has shaken them badly.
There's dark thoughts, darkness that creeps in. I don't have to be here. I'm mobile. Why the hell don't I just get out of here?
I will clamp myself, I'll chain myself to a leg, I'll bite it off, I'll crawl down in and kick his ass if he leaves me.
"10 miles down the glacier, Martin Iver clings onto one hope. This morning, the jet that usually takes him to work on the Alaskan oil fields will be flying directly overhead.
My dad flies that plane. I know the whole crew. I know that they'll be tuned in.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Piper 173 Alpha. We got 2 mountain climbers on Mount Johnson who are busted up. Over.
Hello, Mark. Is that you? Over.
How are you doing? Who is this? Over.
Mark, we don't read you. Please reply. Over.
Hello, do you read me? Over.
It becomes obvious that the pilot can't hear Mark, but he can hear the clicks on his radio.
1 click yes, 2 clicks no.
After 7 days, the word is finally out.
Understood.
The only thing is, the weather is too bad for a rescue attempt, and there's no telling when it will lift. After a night fighting for their lives in Avalanche Alley, Dave is completely exhausted.
What do you want to do? You want to go back to the base camp? Get some more food? More equipment?
I wanted to go, but I knew if I left, I would not come back.
I'll tell you what. You get me off this mountain, I will buy you the biggest, juiciest steak you've ever seen in your life with a double muskie. What do you say?
I want a 36-ounce filet mignon.
There's no such thing.
That's what I want.
Well, then that's what you're gonna get.
That was a huge, huge turning point for me, having that opportunity to leave and then just really deciding with 100% certainty that we were gonna make it together, that I'm not gonna leave him.
But Dave knows getting Jim down the mountain is a massive undertaking. He has to dig a path through the deep snow, smooth over the surface, then drag Jim along it. It's back-breaking work, and progress is painfully slow.
You're doing it. See, I told you could do it. I love you, Dave.
Dave makes a superhuman effort for 17 hours until he just can't go on. He's totally wiped out. After only a few hours rest, day breaks. It's time for the slog to continue again.
Now we gotta keep going, man. Wake up, man. We gotta go.
Dave is exhausted. Every shovelful of snow is a massive effort.
Dave, you're doing it, man. You're doing it.
Then, without warning, there's an all too familiar sound.
All of a sudden, we're flying downhill. I'm screaming bloody murder.
And I pick up speed, and this is it. Free fall.
Jim is trapped deep inside a crevasse.
Is that it? Is that all you got?
And I start screaming at God, you know. I'm telling him, I can take more. I can take more, you know. I for sure 100% can take more.
Come on! I can take more!
But Jim's luck, if you can call it luck, hasn't completely deserted him.
I can take more! Jim! I can take it! Is that all you got?
Dave has been swept deeper into the same crevasse. The guys scan their icy tomb, frantically searching for a way to the surface.
And he says, Jim, he goes, there's a way out. There's a ramp. We can make that, Jim. We can make that. Ramp must have been about 70 degrees.
1, 2, 3.
With no equipment, Dave begins hauling Jim.
And literally, I'd hold him in my teeth, and he'd punch his fist in and hold himself a little bit, and then I'd repeat the process.
They've been through way too much to give up now.
You gotta help me.
Ignoring the pain, they force themselves on.
Inch by inch, we're crawling out of this crevasse.
We're nearly there.
But one false move, and they'll be right back where they started.
We're laughing. We're out of the crevasse. We're laughing.
With the glacier in sight, the urge to rush the final descent takes over Jim.
Let's go for it, you know, let's toboggan down right now.
No way, man. Oh, it's too steep.
If that crevasse didn't kill us, then this one.
This time, Dave's open to persuasion.
Come on. Okay, let's go.
He tells me he's gonna let me go, and I say, great, Dave, let's go.
As soon as I got over 1 mile an hour, it just took off like a rocket.
I'm sliding out of control down the gorge. It's one of the most happy feelings of my life. I feel like I'm sledding as a kid. This is wonderful.
But this is far more dangerous than any sleigh ride. Dodging crevasses all the way down the mountain, this is a death ride, and there's no getting off. Dave and Jim have made it down to the glacier in one piece, but physically, they're shot.
If we don't get picked up now, I'm gonna die soon.
They don't know it, but their only hope lies with Mark Niver, and it's not looking good. The weather's still too bad for a rescue attempt.
Doesn't look like we're gonna be able to get in today at all. Visibility is too bad, over.
Looks like they're not gonna be able to come in today.
That's great.
Oh no! I can't take it anymore!
Calm down.
I'm so much
I
pain!
started crying. I just started losing it.
Why? I told you not to let them play!
Miles away on the glacier, Jim and Dave won't last another night out in the open. Dave is almost delirious with exhaustion.
My senses became very acute. I could hear the tinkle of a snowflake as it hit the snow. I could hear birds chirping, seemingly miles away. And I hear an airplane. And I don't know if I'm going crazy. And it gets louder.
It's the best sound I've ever heard in my life.
And then I see a little red dot coming up the glacier. It's a huge thing. I have a hard time believing it.
The plane is the vanguard of a massive rescue operation.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
A brief and almost miraculous break in the clouds has made a rescue possible.
Wave your arms, man. Let him see you. Get your act together.
He's saying, "Don't cry, stand up, you're a hero." And so he's telling me all this stuff, how to act, you know, you saved my life, you're a hero.
You did it, Dave. You did it.
You're the hero, Dave. Stand up there. I'm staying in the sleeping bag.
Shut up, Jim.
Dave and Jim have no idea why the plane is there. In fact, they won't know of Mark and Roberta's attempt to save them until they all meet up at the hospital. 8 weeks later, Roberta gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Jim spent 10 days laid up in hospital. Though he never fully recovered from his hip injury, it hasn't stopped him climbing. Now a father and an engineer, Dave doesn't climb as much as he'd like to. For his efforts to save Jim, he was awarded the Carnegie Medal for bravery.
It's the medal you got, the one you won from the president.